Yeah, the times that we were in right now, they're very seasonal, I guess. You know, news that are 2 months old are already way too old to even be discussed anymore. Same thing actually goes with Instagram and social media. You know, trends come and go. Everything is kind of very short-lived. And yeah, if you know how to leverage these trends and use these trends to your advantage, you're not only going to be able to grow your Instagram accounts or your social media accounts or whatever, you're also going to be able to grow your bank account, you know? And I have not seen a person who's not interested in growing their bank account. So I don't know about you. But yeah, we marketing people, we refer to this whole thing as trend hopping. You know, leveraging a certain trend, you know, an upswing of interest or certain content ideas or just the way things are being done on social media to your own advantage. You know, obviously, you know, some things are more trend dependent than others. For example, Reels. But this whole Reels microcosm actually gives you the opportunity to, you know, literally blow up your business on Instagram, you know, pretty much overnight, and to be able to do it again and again if you know how to leverage, you know, those trends. Obviously, there's multiple facets of this whole Reels thing, which we're not going to get into right now in this video. There's going to be another video, I hope, about talking about that. You know, write me down in the comments if you want to. But, you know, obviously there's macro trends, micro trends, there's evergreen trends that you could leverage for your Reels in order to, you know, be picked up by the algorithm. But the same thing is actually true for Instagram as a whole, for the platform as a whole on a macro level, if you will. And not a lot of people actually talk about that. So in this video, we're going to talk about 3 more or less, you know, major trends that are happening right now in spring of 21. Trends that actually Instagram has been talking about actively, you know? So I'm not just pulling these things out of thin air. I'm actually referring to an Instagram business PR release, if you know what I mean. And we're gonna talk about these things, pick them apart, so you can actually use this to your advantage to blow up. Yeah, that's all that I have to say, so. Welcome back, Dominators. My name is Dominic. If you're new here, we're all about making that Wi-Fi bread with social media, especially with Instagram. We're talking about growing a real audience without those sleazy tactics and yeah, making some money with that. You know, unfiltered. That's my whole thing. Unfiltered. You know, I don't want to have a filter. That's why also a lot of people hate me, especially gurus. But we're not talking about this right now. Let's talk about the trends. The first trend that we talk about here is actually what Instagram is calling, let me just read that here from my screen, info social content. That's what they call it. Basically, it's content that focuses on sharing information and educating communities. Let me tell you what this actually is and how you can use this to your advantage to blow really big time. Yeah, it's actually carousels, more or less. And before you exit this video saying, I knew that, let me tell you why this is so important. Not only because Instagram talked about this themselves. By carousels in this info social context, they actually mean these educating carousel posts where you can swipe and learn new things, you know, kind of one step at a time. And I don't think Instagram actually had this in mind when they first thought about carousels. I just believe they were about, you know, sharing multiple pictures, which is okay as well. But no, not right now. The hot trend being these infographic style carousel images where people crush it right now. And it actually makes a lot of sense. You know, talking about the Instagram algorithm, for example, you know, this whole algorithm, if you don't know about the algorithm, we have a lot of videos about the Instagram algorithm here on this channel. But basically, the algorithm is all about quality interactions and having people stay on the platform as a whole, especially on your profile. Not only because of the initial interaction ladder, you know, with them swiping through and stuff like this, but also because, you know, people love to share things like this with other like-minded people. They love to save the post because they then can return back, you know, ideally twice or 3 times in their life cycle. You know, this shows the Instagram algorithm, well, valuable content, people actively consume that because Instagram wants to become this whole big social media hub, you know, kind of having all of these different facets, you know, under one house, if you will. And yeah, if you manage to have people do that and stay on the platform and return and consume content mainly on their platform, you know, they're gonna award you for that. Now you might be like, why, Dominic? I could just make either a normal post with my beautiful face with a long caption. You know, people read the long caption, you know, or an IGTV video that's 30 minutes and people are staying long on the platform. Yes, my friends, you could, but it's probably not the best idea right now because talking about people's attention spans, it's been going down quite a bit in the past years. The average human being's attention span is less than that of a goldfish. And that's not a lot if you know that. You know, back in my days, back in my high school days, we used to make fun of goldfish because they didn't have a high attention span. You know, we were laughing at the goldfish and they already forgot that we laughed about them having a very beneficial relationship. But all jokes aside, especially how alarming this whole thing actually is, you want to grab their attention and get them one step at a time. This is the right way. You know, grab their attention one step at a time because the brain, you know, just has no attention. The brain just doesn't want to be overloaded. With these one step at a time things, you're actually feeding the brain actually kind of what it wants, making the algorithm happy because the algorithm is just a big brain. I hope it would be not true, but it actually probably is true and alarming. The second big trend that Instagram have actually talked about on their website is drops or our drops. You know, so you might be like, what is a drop? And those of you who know what a drop is, you might be like, how's that gonna help me with my small time Instagram brand? You know, with growth and monetization and stuff like this. You know, I'm small. What's a drop gonna do? And in my opinion, drops are the most underused and underrated tool of not only growing your bank account, but also your follower numbers. You know, on Instagram, on any other social media platform. If you don't know what a drop is, yeah, basically it's a limited release product launch. You know, you say, well, something drops, you know, in 3 weeks or 1 month, something's gonna drop and it's only gonna be available for, you know, X amount of people or 1 day or, you know, until it's sold out or whatever. And what this whole thing does is, first of all, it's gonna hype up your brand as a whole, making, you know, it, first of all, have some sort of exclusive feel to it. Also creating a strong sense of community with your followers, right? And if done correctly, you can also grow your follower numbers with these drops. Let me explain you how. For example, I've used the principle of these drops, you know, in my businesses, actually for the better part of the past years, 2 or 3 years. Don't just think of drops as this limited, you know, merch release, you know, where you're like, okay, you have a mug and this mug is gonna launch in 2 days and it's only gonna be available for 10 people or a t-shirt or something like this. Well, you could do that, obviously, but you can think bigger. And this is what I've been doing for the past 2 years or something like this. You can have services talking about my social media marketing agency, my Instagram focused marketing agency, Maverick, MVRQ. We've used drops all the time to actually launch new products and, you know, create hype around some products and actually, you know, ramping up, you know, or revenue. We're talking about my latest program, the Instagram Black File 2.0. You know, the launch, if you will, has been nothing else than just a drop. You know, right now it's not open for enrollment anymore because the launch period has closed. The drop is done. You know, people have filled this whole thing up and there's no chance for you to actually join anymore. Basically, you can use this whole principle for any other product or service that you have, you know? Basically, giving people a chance to enroll, giving people a chance to join this bigger part of a community or, you know, exclusive small part of a community or elite group or whatever that you might call it. And if this whole thing plays together, actually, you're gonna see that you're not only gonna, you know, grow your revenue numbers, you're also gonna grow your follower base as a whole. And those that are in your follower base already, you're gonna see that, like I said, the bond is gonna, you know, be stronger than ever. You know, because they're part of something bigger. You know, the drop. Now the last trend, and this is actually way more interesting than it actually appears on the surface, is lo-fi reels. You know, let me explain you what they mean with lo-fi reels. Instagram refers to this whole thing as low production equals high impact. Because, and I've always called it, you know, I've always said it, people are just sick of, you know, these high production, over the top, non-approachable brands, you know, social media accounts, influencers who are, you know, just seemingly appear to be on a whole nother level, whole nother layer, whole nother step. Layer? I don't know what to call it, but you know what I mean. What counts is actually being on the same level with your audience, with the people following your account, your business, your personal brand, whatever that might be, you know? Being accessible, connecting with them on a really authentic level. And there's actually a very interesting headline in this article where Instagram actually talks about this, you know, lo-fi, authentic content creation part, using reels. They say, make it real. You know, kind of a play on words, but basically they want you to keep it real. You get it? You know, that's what you should do, actually. Just be you. Take off your filters. Every filter that you think you might have. You know, show your different sides that you have. You know, your vulnerabilities. This word's always, vulnerabilities. It's always hard for me. Don't ask me why. Because chances are, you know, people have the same sort of vulnerabilities that you have, you know, and this actually makes them connect with you on a special level. And if you read between the lines what they actually mean with this article, you know, DIY approach, and I've heard people say about that, and also testing it out with our clients, actually has kind of confirmed it up until now, but I have to be vague right now because the data is not that conclusive, but there's a trend. Basically, if you create Reels, you want to make use of the Reel software, if you will. Basically, recording things straight on your smartphone with the Reels app, right? Cutting it there, making it from right within the app. You know, Instagram just prefers that, I guess. But this is actually a great thing, you know, if you think about it. You have the whole editing suite of creating highly engaging, you know, content right on the palm of your hands. Everybody has a smartphone, because otherwise you would not have Instagram, you know? Now, if you take this whole thing, you know, of creating real videos, you know, reels that are on a personal level, on an authentic level, and if we take this whole principle and, you know, bring it back to the first thing that we talked about, you know, researching trends and kind of leveraging trends that are happening right now, in the sense of not only, you know, the trends that you use in the reels and in your content, but also these trends that we just talked about, you know, which are not just, like I said, not just trends that I just pulled out of thin air. It's actually trends that Instagram said right now, those are the things we found out to be working really well on the platform. So, you know, if you make use of this whole thing, you're gonna see crazy growth happening. You know, I can guarantee you that. Obviously, you're gonna have to work for that, but that's always the case. You know, if you wanna have results, you actually have to, you know, put a lot of work in that. But yeah, another thing, you know, another important thing that you should do in order to get crazy growth is actually smash that like button, and you know, follow me here on Instagram, because we're gonna talk a lot about, you know, reels and growing on Instagram and monetizing your Instagram, you know, like always here on this channel. So my name is Dominic. I'll see you guys. Pretty warm in here now. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Friend of me, enemy. All these niggas just wanna be a mini me. All these niggas just wanna be a mini me. All these niggas just wanna be a mini me.